Barakal Holo Yahweh Bashim Habashai Bahashim Makakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. Shalom and salutations to the Aquath that are listening and learning. I'm the brother Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily Update. Shalom and salutations to everybody tuned in. It just gets longer. We're going to start right here at Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim this among the nations. All right. Prepare for war. We're watching this in a crazy fashion right now. Hey, it's war on the streets of France right now. Right? France is on fire. All right. Civil war. Call it what you want to. All right. Prepare for war. Rouse the mighty men. Let all the men of war advance and attack. Do you know what's going on the southern border? People are starting to figure out, oh, well, the Chinese that they're letting in down there. What's going on? Is this an invasion? Prepare for war. Rouse the mighty men. Let all the men of war advance and attack. Okay. Jump down to 11. Come quickly, all you surrounding nations, to the border of Mexico, Salakia, and gather yourselves, right? Bring down your mighty ones, O Lord. That's the last part of the war right there. Let the nations be roused and advance to the valley of Yehoshaphat, for there will I sit down to judge all nations on every side. Okay, so we're in the time of war. We're going to let this Dr. Evil looking dude. Where's the cat, nigga? Okay, we're going to let him give the update since it's 3 hours ago. Combat Veteran Reacts. That's this guy. Right. Putin tries to explain away mutiny. 4th of July, 2023, Ukraine Daily Update. Oh, your daily update. Okay. I'm going to use you in mine. Take it away, Dr. Evil.
Is the Kremlin trying to explain away the rebellion of its largest paramilitary group? And is Ukraine preparing for more offensive operations? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is July 4th. 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first let's talk about the control map. Now they're reporting just minor frontline updates. You can see these look like more like refinements of control. You can see there's a little bit of Russian forces remaining in this forested area here, as well as part of this windbreak here outside of Kurdyumivka. Other than that, we're looking at really just very minor updates, nothing really confirmed, though we know that changes in control do not necessarily reflect the intensity of the combat. As we've talked about, there's considerable combat going on across the front lines. Reportedly, Ukrainian troops are also pushing in the direction of Lyman, right? Kremina Lyman here, an area that was very active during the Kharkiv offensive, and was one of really where Russian forces finally were able to establish some stability after the chaos of the Ukrainian offensive outside Kharkiv.
And this is minimal frontline, whatever you want to call it. What we're waiting for is Vlad's response to the mutiny. Oh, I guess they'll get into it. We'll see how much of this we're going to listen to.
You also, of course, have heavy fighting taking place in and around Bakhmut, Avdiivka, all along Zaporizhzhia, and reportedly an increase in the number of crossings of the Dnipro by Ukrainian forces. Now, if you're curious about what this combat's looking like, of course you want to check out combatvetnews.com. This is the site that I launched because Patreon doesn't care for Ukraine content anymore. YouTube, of course, regularly demonetizing my content. So in order to continue to bring you guys combat analysis and to give you guys an opportunity to support what I do, keep me independent. As you know, a lot of sponsors won't even touch this content, but again, I believe that what I do is essential. And if you want to support me, this is the best way to do it. Any one of these tiers is going to get you access to an exclusive room on the Discord, which is, functionally it's an OSINT source at this point, compiling all sorts of news, rumors, and speculation on the conflict, as well as access to the members-only content, which includes all my analysis of various combat videos, whatever videos go viral during the week. I try to usually do 1 to 2 videos a week, keeping you guys up to date on the latest. The most recent video we saw was Ukrainian forces navigating a minefield, and it's one thing to see how slow progress is and kind of scratch your head, but when you see how devastating and challenging it is to navigate even a small minefield, you realize that the progress they've made is actually pretty incredible, right? And while I'm certainly critical of the planners and the generals who are running this operation, you see these videos and you're reminded that the Ukrainian forces fighting this fight are absolutely committed and absolutely just laser focused, not only on accomplishing the mission, but protecting each other. Anyway, be sure to check it out. The link is going to be up here, is in the description, and in a pinned comment at combatvetnews.com. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about some of the politicking of the Kremlin. And you know that it was very embarrassing for Putin to have this rebellion come so close to Moscow with minimal resistance. So he's made a couple of efforts to shore up the support and perceived stability of the Russian state.
Okay, yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But what is he going to do to show strength? See, these people operate in a different fashion than we do. What we're doing is we're waiting on his response for whatever the hell happened, which could very well be some money that was misappropriated or found suddenly, like, what was it, 6-7 billion? Was that given to somebody, to a mercenary group, which their objective is to get paid to go, what does a mercenary do? He goes to war for money. Doesn't matter who the target is. Give me some money, I'm going, right? Well, what will Putin's response be? Well, we haven't seen it yet, because when we see it, everybody will know. And I'm going to let this guy talk a little more and we'll bring it to an end.
One, Russian mill bloggers have actually seized on Ukrainian activity on the east bank of the Dnipro, calling for an increase in small river vessels and equipment to stop further Ukrainian advances. Okay, to be fair, Ukraine, these river crossings, they are not part of larger advances, at least not at this time as far as I can tell. Instead, what they are is, again, sort of like the operations of the Freedom of Russia Legion. They are cross-border raids in order to fix or force Russia to commit its...
And this guy ain't saying nothing. Either we're going to see, as the response from Putin, either we're going to see him chastise people in his own service, right? Or see him take it out on the battlefield against the enemy, or both. And I don't think we've seen anything yet. Now, of course, you have to be watching this thing through some really good binoculars, if you will, to get any news, because it's all being suppressed, right? And they're only letting out what you want to see. You really have to go to a Russian source, right? That's going to tell you the Russian side of the story, because on some Tokyo Rose type shit, they're not letting nothing but propaganda come out over here. All right, so this guy is not reporting on much.
Troops to maintain troops in this region so that they cannot reinforce troops along Zaporizhzhia. But it is not part of a invasion force, right? You cannot have thousands of troops cross in dinghies. It's just not feasible. It would be far, far too obvious for anyone. But it is worth noting that in many cases, this river is much more crossable than it had been. Simply because the flooding that occurred when Russia or the dam, the Dnipro River Dam was destroyed by unspecified actors, Russia. Those floodwaters have receded, and largely it is much easier to cross the Dnipro than it ever has been in this conflict. So, of course, looking at that, right, they really want to create this Dnieper flotilla, a special.
Okay, he ain't saying a whole lot. All right. Anyway, go back and watch the rest of this if you want to. This is very low volume information. Because again, whatever happened a week ago or a week and a half ago, we're waiting to see the response. Okay? What is this guy going to do? And then the 4th of July only exists in America. All right? What will the enemy do? Right? Because who are the Russians fighting against? The Russians are not fighting against the Ukrainians. The Russians know that they're fighting against Babylon. All right? They know. So what would Russia, if Russia knows they're fighting against America, they would wait until America is worried about what? Some stupid shit like the 4th of July to launch an attack. So today is not over by any stretch of the imagination. What would Sun Tzu? Do the Russians know that they're fighting against the Americans? Right? By proxy of the Ukrainians? Of course they do. Right? And here's the Most High saying it, setting it up. Isaiah 13:17. Behold, I, when you call God, his name is Yahweh, will stir up the Medes. The Medes are the Russians. Against them. Who's them? The Babylonians, the Americans. God said, look, hey, pay attention. I am going to make the Russians really, really, really mad against the Americans. Okay, so here's the question. Here's what we're waiting for. What is the response of the Americans paying the Wagner Group, who are the Medes, right, to come up against the Kremlin? What's going to be the response? Oh, you paying off my own homies, my cook, to come against me? And what is that? What does it mean that the Americans sent or got some of the Medes to flip on themselves with some money, some filthy lucre, right? Some Judas Iscariot type shit, right? Came up and tried to give Vlad a kiss. What is that? That's nothing less than the Most High stirring up Vlad, the Medes. Okay? They cannot be tempted by silver or bribed with gold. That could very well mean that, yeah, we'll take your money. This is what Prigozhin said. Yeah, we'll give me the money. All right, we'll go. We'll march on the Kremlin, but we're only going to get so far before what? We ain't doing it. Thank you for the money. It's called a double cross. Anyway, we'll go ahead and end it there, and we'll continue to be on the lookout for a real response, right, from the Medes, knowing that their adversary is the Babylonians or the Egyptians, whatever you want to call them. If you want to call them who they are by today's standards, you would call them the Americans. So with that, we hope that the elect were edified. You brothers and few sisters, with that, we're going to say shalom.